Hello CNTV NA viewers, I'm your host Cindy. Today we are now at 2016 Vancouver Fashion Week with our special guest Alex Yu. Let's welcome him. I'm here to ask you some questions. The first one is, what sparked your interest in fashion?
Well, growing up, fashion has always been like a big part of my life. I've always loved fashion, not necessarily clothes making, but I began in love with fashion, starting with like fashion models, and gradually I started to know about the different designers, and then from that sparked my interest. Maybe I could try to learn and make clothes.
When did that interest start? Like your age?
When did it start? I don't know. I can't pinpoint an exact time point when it started. I feel like it's gradually, because my aunt and my mom, they both read a lot of fashion magazines. So I guess that's like kind of gradually, influenced my thoughts. Yeah.
But I know you once studied computer science, and your family want to become a lawyer, computer programmer, or marketer even. But why did you start a totally different career?
Well, I feel like, you probably know from an Asian family, there are certain expectations from parents towards their child. They want them to have a stable job, a very good income. And then there are certain jobs that kind of guarantee that, and fashion design is not really one of them.
Yes.
So obviously after high school, I just went to SFU for computer science.
Oh, SFU.
Yeah, and then there's always different projects that we have to do, make websites and everything. And everything that I did was about fashion.
So every website you design is related to fashion.
Like if we make like a magazine spread or a commercial, everything was about fashion, whereas other people may be doing other stuff. So that was like my interest. And then, I don't know, one day I was just like, do I really want to be sitting in front of the computer for the rest of my life? Or do I want to do something that I like? So I took a part-time sewing course and pattern making course. So I learned how to do that, and then I found out that that's actually something that I can do. So I told my parents that I want to, leave SFU and do fashion design full time. And at first they were kind of like on the fence about it, but I did my first mini fashion show, and then they came and then they thought, this is actually something that you can do, and they've been very supportive from that point on.
So after really being a fashion designer, what do you think is the favorite part of this job?
I think to be able to express yourself and your perspective and your voice in a very creative way, that you can leave a mark on this world, with something that you create, something that is purely from your imagination.
You studied fashion design both in Vancouver and London, so these two cities are so different, and as well as the cultures. So what do you think these two different cultures affect you and your ideas about design?
Well, I did most of my fashion course in London. So London is one of the biggest fashion cities in the world. There's a lot of things going on. It's very exciting. There's a lot of contemporary art. The scene is very big there. Whereas Vancouver, the fashion industry is quite small. So I think what affects me is like kind of like the London vibe, very streetwear, very colorful, very unusual prints and different things. I take that into my design, but also the West Coast lifestyle, which is very relaxed, comfortable, warm, and then just like taking the two and blend them together. So I think one is like very creative yet very wearable, to kind of mash that together into my collection. I create a lot of my own prints actually. So most of the prints that you see on the runway are created by myself.
Wow.
Because I have the computer science background, so I can use the graphic program to create print. And also like maybe my business is based mostly in Vancouver, so I do use a lot of fabric that are more insulating, warmer, and then they may not look very warm, but they're actually warm.
Oh really?
Yeah.
According to you, what is the definition of fashion, and what could be the fashion's core values?
I think fashion is a very big part of life, and everybody needs to wear clothes. So it is something that I think nobody can live without. So I think fashion is life. Fashion is something that, because people are visual animals, So fashion is something that represents who you are and what kind of job you do or what kind of person you are before they even know you. So I think that's very important. Even though a lot of people say don't judge someone by their appearance and don't judge a book by its cover, but I think deep inside everybody do that. They can see someone dressed like, shabbily and they might assume they are a homeless person, or they may see someone dressed very fabulously and they might think they're a rich woman, but actually it may not be like that. So I think that's a very interesting thing about fashion, it's just putting on some clothes, but you can change who you are as a person.
Because sometimes we are just running out of ideas and creativities. How do you stay up to date with fashion?
I wouldn't say necessarily staying up to date with fashion, because I think fashion is incorporated into our life in a very broad way. And then in terms of like getting inspired or anything, it's just not just limited to fashion. So I guess staying up to date is all about like everything that's going on, current events, contemporary art, film, music. So like just, exposing yourself to everything that's going on in the world.
In that case, where do you go or what do you do for stimulating inspirations?
Yeah, traveling is a big part, but now, life is very busy, so yes. Traveling is not a very, thing that I can do very often. I guess I do watch a lot of different movies and, visit art galleries and then current events that's going on. So I take stuff from every sort of these things and I get inspired by that.
You define yourself as the colorful minimalist, and the concepts of love and dream are emphasized in your design. So how come these ideas become your own brand values?
I think fantasy is a very big part of my design and me as a person. I believe the reality and the world that we live in is already very harsh. There's a lot of things that in your life that are difficult, you may run into a lot of obstacles, and I think fashion is an outlet that lets you escape reality for a while. Maybe if you put on a dress, then you may feel very different. So that's like the dream and love aspect of it. And I guess colorful minimalist is because I use a lot of different colors in my collection. You can see every single color on the color wheel in my collection. Yeah, I feel like I use a lot of color and a lot of print, but my stuff aren't very crazy to a point where it's unwearable. So it's still wearable, you can still incorporate it into your wardrobe. So I guess that's where the colorful minimalist comes in. I guess my favorite color changes every now and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like every collection I would gravitate towards a certain color. Yeah, I don't have a favorite color myself. I have a lot of favorite color, but maybe this collection, the favorite color that I'm using is pink. And for this one, the fall winter 16, it's more like green.
Green.
Yeah. I feel like this collection is a little bit different than what I used to do. This collection, I kind of want to take a different approach to it. I put a lot more menswear inspiration into the collection. And the color, they're still colorful, but they're slightly darker than the previous collection. And green, I wouldn't say there's a specific meaning, I guess. From the pink to green, I guess it's something very unconscious. Just maybe one day I wake up green.
Just ideas, but
yeah.
Lemonade. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex.
As a new and rising Asian designer, do you think Asian culture would impact your design, and how does it affect?
I do, yeah. I was born in Taiwan and grew up in Vancouver, and then growing up I've been exposed to Taiwanese culture, Japanese culture, and I've always loved, Japanese music and Japan as a country. So I think those Japanese street style and maybe Taiwan street style plays a part in my design, I think.
We can see that most of your models are Asian girls. Is it because your inspirations is usually sparked by Asian girls?
I wouldn't say inspired by Asian girls. I just feel like I am Asian myself, and there's a lot of amazing Asian models. And always, like on the international runway, people are complaining, oh, like there's no, like maybe if a show was all Caucasian girl, they would complain, oh, there's no black girl. But what about Asian, right? Like, I am Asian myself, so I feel like I should, take this opportunity that I have to show my creation and represent the Asian community.
Very young, and you now have your own brand. But what is your biggest lesson that you have learned since you started your own brand?
Well, starting your own brand is always very difficult in many aspects. The first thing is you have to be able to do many things yourself. You need to make the clothing, do the marketing, do social media. So it's like taking up many different roles of maybe like if a big company might have 20 people doing what I'm doing alone. So I guess that's the biggest obstacle, finding the time to do everything.
As an independent designer, what would you do if there is a conflict between market performance and your own idea?
I think every designer, this is a big problem. So I think the idea is to find the balance between the two. So, showing your creativity and showing your idea, but make it in a very wearable and marketable and sellable way. Yeah. So I think you can't really choose one or the other. You have to kind of choose a bit of both.
Since you believe that fashion is life, so in your daily life, what do you think the kind of person you are? And what is your personal dressing style?
Well, before I started going full-time into designing, I was very obsessed with dressing up myself, style, like all the latest trends and everything, put them up and take a lot of pictures. But ever since I've been, making my label in a full-time job, then it's more like everything is very simple right now, like very loose, very simple. And I've put all my, thoughts that I had with dressing myself into creating. Yeah, so like right now, every day, I just dress very casually, very easy to work in. I do a lot of photo shoots all the time, so just like very casual, easy to move around, and still very, simple and minimal.
Any style of dressing that you will avoid to dress?
I don't know. I think I would try everything once.
Oh.
Yeah, but I would say maybe not personally, but when I see people wearing that, I get really angry. It's like leggings as pants.
Oh, leggings as pants.
Yeah, so like, it's just it's not
awkward,
it's
right?
not a good look, and then like your parts will be showing. So yeah, so that's like the look that I would never try, and I would suggest people should never try.
And it is the fourth time that you show up in Vancouver Fashion Week. Any different experience this year?
Well, it's my fourth time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I kind of have the experience and kind of have, kind of know what like the people in Vancouver appreciate and what they gravitate toward. So obviously I take a little bit of that into consideration when I create. And then I guess this collection is very different from before because it's slightly darker, slightly more muted colors. And compared to before where everything is like pop, 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 right? Now it's like I use a lot of gray and white. And then still pops of color, but not as much as before. And also this time is the first time that I made menswear. So I kind of like give it a try, I have 31 looks this time, and then 27 are women and 4 are men. So like I kind of want to try menswear and see how people would react to it.
And what is your expectation about this year's?
Well, I hope like people can see a different Alex this year, and it's not just all about like funky colors and print. Maybe like this time I focus a lot more on the little details of tailoring and little details in the clothing. So I hope people can see and appreciate that. Well, I don't believe in women flaunting their curves. A lot of women or a lot of designers like very bodycon clothing that makes like the curve look very nice. But I feel like women should be dressing for themselves and not for men or for whoever they want to please. So most of my clothing are very loose fitting, very easy on the body and very easy to wear. So I guess this time it's still the same. There's a lot of loose fitting trousers, a lot of loose fitting sweaters as well.
About future, what are your big plans about future's business expansion or business development?
Hopefully I can, expand my label and then, expand it to bigger fashion cities and a broader market, and let more people know, that this brand exists. And I hope to, let people know that Vancouver is not just about Lululemon or Aritzia, like the very laid-back West Coast lifestyle. There's like creativity here too.
The last question is about, do you have any advice for people aspiring to become fashion designers?
Well, there's a lot of advice, but I think one of the most important one is to make sure that this is what you would love to do, because you will be working 24 hours a day, and then you won't get a lot of sleep, especially when you're starting out, because you have to do everything yourself. So it's a lot of hard work. So I guess the biggest advice is to love what you do, then it won't feel like work.
Even it's very hard.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.